Welcome to Education Marketing Deciphered, brought to you by IOSIGNITE, a podcast where we have education marketing experts, school and college owners to discuss key issues pertaining to education marketing. So, hello everyone, I'm Jay Bagri, and today we are going to be talking about 21K School's education marketing journey. With me, joining me is a very close friend of mine who I've known him for, I think, the last 7-8 years, professionally and personally. And he's a consultant to over 100 of schools, is on the board of many schools, and of course, is also the founder of 21K School. So, hi Yash, thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, hi Jay. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast with you.
Thanks. Great. So Yash, for our listeners, before we start, could you tell something about yourself and how you actually got into the education sector? Because I know that's not your family business, right?
Right. Hey, that's true, Jay. So we are actually 5 brothers, and each one of us had to find their own career path. 2 of elder brothers got into the traditional business, which is into the jewelry. My third brother got into CA, and I incidentally picked up education. So I was studying at a Jain Group of institutions, did my 11th, 12th, and also graduation. I was very inspired by Mr. Chenraj Jain, who was the chairperson of the Jain Group of institutions. And he offered a role, and I just picked up that. And immediately after my graduation, I joined Jain Group of institutions. I started as an executive, but within a 3 years span, I was promoted as a Chief Operations Officer, helping the group to expand across the country. My last assignment is what made me shift from Bangalore to Raipur, where I was instrumental in setting up the private university for Jain Group in the name of Maths University. So that's how I forayed into education, though probably not really designed, but I'm really loving what I'm doing.
That's incredible. So, how great a student were you to get picked up right from college to work for the college? Did you meet Mr. Chenraj Jain regularly during your college life, or how did that happen?
So I was one of the studious students, but in 11th and 12th, I think I was picked up because I scored a good percentage in my 10th exams studying at Baldwin's. And Jain Group was still at a very nascent stage. So one of the objectives which I had in mind is to secure a rank, because that distinguishes and establishes one college from the other. I couldn't secure the top 10 rank, but I was in the top 20 rank at the university level for the 12th exam. So I continued to do my graduation there. And graduation was absolutely a life-changing experience because I not only opened up in terms of participating in different management fest, won 17 different inter-college competitions for Jain Group. And so I was always on the eye, probably looking out for opportunities to work with Jain Group then as well.
Incredible. So that gets me to my second question, right? So you've always been in the thick of things. I don't know how, but you managed to find a way and make your way and own it. So how did 21K School really happen? I know Santosh comes from Chennai, Joshi is from Singapore, I think Dinesh is in US, you are in Raipur, Bangalore, wherever you are at that moment. How did this come about? How did you four meet, and whose idea was this to start, especially pre-pandemic? Who was thinking about this?
So I was hired as a consultant in my previous avatar at Stratagem EduServe. So we were consulting Santosh and family to set up a physical school in a remote location called Sholingur. That's near Vellore in Tamil Nadu. It's a small place, but I think they had great objectives in terms of returning back to the society in terms of quality education. And it's very surprising, Jay. I think this I've seen so much more in tier 2, tier 3 cities that, people are investing so much in infrastructure, but they have no clue as far as, the teachers' academic quality practices are concerned. You've seen this yourself as well in the different places.
Right.
But interestingly, Santosh and they had a different view, saying that if you're not able to attract good quality teachers, then what is the point? And things materialized. We started discussing about online schooling as an option. This was in 2019. But by January 2020, we had kind of dropped this idea because we thought that it's not going to be possible for us to launch an online school in India. I couldn't have really imagined, kids sitting in front of laptop and attending classes in the pre-pandemic era, right? So all our market research and all, fall flat, and we wanted to go back to the physical school that we're building, and I wanted to go back to the strategy made you serve. But pandemic happened, and almost overnight, right, when we saw schools transforming themselves into online schools and setting up computers, infrastructure, technology support with parents, laptops, there was a huge crisis, and I think we wanted to address that crisis. And I knew that Santosh, Joshi, Dinesh are from the tech background, and we teamed up very well. That's where we also got to meet Mrs. Lorma, who was a vice president at K12, which is now Stride Learning from USA. And
Right.
it just we thought that this is a great fit. We launched within a short time of 2 months' time that we launched online school in June, and things happened thereafter. It's been a fantastic journey so far. But what is interesting is that I met Dinesh and Joshi probably just this year, a few months back. So in person, I've not met Dinesh and Joshi. Santosh was the only person whom I knew very well. And I think four of us have really teamed up together to solve a larger problem.
So that's actually great, right? That you met you met Joshi and Dinesh this year only. So you are a testament that virtual online works, right? You guys have built such a great school with 6,000 plus students today without even meeting each other in person ever. So that just beautifully fits in. And where I remember the first conversation we had about online schooling and all of that, and you were telling me this is what we've started and this is how we are doing it and all of that. And I was just glad that, thank God, I am on the side where I am providing a service and I'll get paid. This online schooling is a crazy idea, and how is it going to work, right? but then as we spoke and as we started doing the market research, the fact was that even if you started pre 2020, there was a definite void and a need, right? Parents were struggling. And that's where I think that's the overwhelming response that 21K School has received, because parents haven't left after the pandemic, after physical schools have started, right?
No, absolutely. I think we've got a lot of things right, and I think one of the major factors was having you on board. Getting the website and the communication, and because it's a very abstract concept, right? I mean, to communicate and convince a parent to take admission without looking at a physical campus, physical infrastructure, I think that was an overwhelming task for any sales team in the world. I mean, but I think the website, the communication, the content, just being transparent and honest in terms of what we want to do. Great feedback from our founder parents is all helped us really to achieve, and I think we're still committed to make sure that every child gets that same quality, personalized, flexible education at 21K.
Right. So yeah, it's been a fabulous journey, and to reach where you guys have reached today, it's like in four short span of 4 years, it's quite next to impossible what the four of you have achieved. And I can't think of any other four people who would have been able to do what you guys have been able to do, and maintain the quality, maintain the faculty level, which of course is definitely a bigger challenge, right? One thing is to, of course, imagine a product, then communicate it, but to actually maintain it day to day, that's a phenomenal job. And what goes behind that? What does your team look like, or your day look like today?
It's see, I mean, being a virtual team, obviously, I mean, it's a completely the day goes in a lot of meetings and analysis over the Zoom itself. But now with the pandemic opening up, we've started at least meet with the key team members at different locations. So the travel is back. Thankfully, it's also back, and I think even for students and teachers as well. But what has also happened with the number of students growing is that, besides the founders, we have been able to develop a good leadership team as well. Not just with the academics, but also in terms of the sales, admissions, marketing, technology, HR, and other things. I think we've been quite fortunate that we've been able to attract the right kind of people to join, because these are the people who believe in what we are doing. I think they believe that we're solving a critical problem for the world, for especially for the children in this age group. So that's been tremendous. I think we've been able to scale up because in spite of not being physically connected, I think we share the common values and the vision, which is actually binding the team together.
Right, right. So yeah, this is something that I wanted to talk about. I know we've worked on several projects before 21K School also, and I, of course, being from the marketing background, keep harping branding is important. Branding is important. This, that, brand manual, and all of that nonsense, right? But as a school owner, right, today, what do you think is the purpose of having a brand guideline and actually living by it? Has that helped you attract the right talent, and has that talent, help you grow with the same messaging and thought process?
Oh no, absolutely, Jay. I think having the right branding guidelines that you believe in and implementing the brand ethos. I think a lot of school owners, think that branding is only about the logo and the colors to be used. Right? I mean, it's absolutely incorrect. That's a very, very narrow way of looking at what branding is. I think branding is about your approach, your philosophy. Long back, I think one professor told me that branding is the way you treat your brand is the way you treat your mother. Where to place it, how do you value it, and how do you see that? I think that's the kind of reverence which branding professionals have. And see, the branding communicates certain things, right? I mean, I often keep asking people. I mean, you ask 10 people on the street, how is IIM? I think 9 out of 10 will say fantastic. It's a great institute, but not a single person would have ever stepped into an IIM campus. It's just that brand which people speak about, that IIM is a great institution for anybody who wants to do a management program, but nobody's aware of it. I think that's what branding really helps. And in our case, where we didn't have a physical campus, we don't have a physical touch point where the parents could come and interact with our teachers or principal or even the admissions team. The branding was the only thing that we had to rely on. And I think it's absolutely important to build that trust factor around the brand, the ethos of you as an institution. I think all of this put together, your values, your vision, is what the brand looks like. And I think today 21K School stands for an alternative schooling model where parents can get affordable quality education, which delivers data-driven instruction for the parents. But it's absolutely transformational with the work that we are doing, and I'm happy that parents believe in that vision.
That's incredibly well put and incredibly said. I'll use it as my marketing pitch for my next meeting that I have with any other school owner. But yeah, so I totally agree, and IOSIGNITE was made on that thought process that it's needed, right, to connect the right parent to the right school. Because if the values and the vision of the school and the parents don't match, what ends up happening is, yes, you will fill up a seat, but that parent will never be satisfied.
Correct.
And the school will never be able to live up. So, as you said, and I think that is one of the reasons why your parents are so happy, because they truly believe in the school, and the school truly lives up to their expectations. Right? And that definitely helps any sales and marketing team. A reference of a parent and a testimonial of a parent goes 10x further than, say, a Facebook ad or anything else, right? So yeah, yes, we've spoken about branding a little bit and then living that brand, but I am sure still from that journey to 0 to 6,000, yes, we were there in the first few thousand maybe, but then that's a long journey, and of course many hurdles would have come. So what was according to you that key challenge that the team faced in growing, scaling up, and getting your message across to more and more people?
See, we started in June 2020. So we're just about 2 years old, and this is our third academic year. A lot of people tend to believe that the first 2 years we got benefit of pandemic, and there was an emergent need because of which we grew. And last year we had about 2,500 or so students, and this year we have already touching 7,000 students. Now, so we wanted to bust this two key points where people started questioning that students are attending a school, what are they learning? That was one question that we wanted to solve. And then second is that, will 21K schools survive post-pandemic when the schools actually open up? That's the growth. So to address the first question, we allowed our students to participate in the international benchmark test conducted by Australian Council for Educational and Research. And over 3 lakh students participated in this, not just in India, but outside India as well. And I'm happy to see that, our students have scored above average in every grade, every subject, in comparison to the Indian cohort as well as to the international cohort. And on the top of it, 20 students have topped at the Indian level in English, maths, and science in grade 3 to 8. So our students definitely learn, and they've done a fantastic job. And I've seen this in the case of my own child who's been studying. This is his third year with 21K school, and I see his academic progress as well. So is the case with Santosh's daughter as well. The second thing was, post-pandemic, how is the school going to? And that was the biggest challenge, I think, because, none of us could really read into the market, but we believed in what we are doing. I think, trying to solve a problem for people in the remote areas, for people with medical conditions, people with transferable jobs, people who can't afford the expensive physical private schooling that's available in India. And I think I'm amazed to see the response. We've already grown 3x compared to last year. In spite of about 20 to 25% parents choosing to go back into the physical school, it's been a tremendous growth from all counts. I think and we're quite excited. I think our target is to reach to about 100,000 students in about 5 years' time, and we'll definitely be there.
Absolutely, I have no doubts. If anyone can, it's probably you guys. But yeah, since you brought up, Hriday or your son and Santosh's daughter, what I would like to ask is, how was that personal sales process? How did you convince your wife, Nupur, to put Hriday in 21K school, an online only learning platform? And then, was there a moment where she said that schools have started, let's put Hriday in a physical school? Because you of course have access to good schools around you. So did you have that personal battle with your wife or in your mind itself?
Oh, nee, absolutely. Even before 21K school, because there's a Hindi saying, right? The person who makes sweets does not eat his own sweets. So we were also not sure whether, we are going to put him into a physical school. Having set up over 75 schools, we knew what happens, what are the challenges, and what is the level of quality. I mean, schools are typically a black box. So Hriday did go into a preschool in Raipur, and he did go for a few days, but he did not adjust because he came back asking kind of questions which made us think that probably we are not doing justice with him. Like he said that school has a beautiful courtyard, but why am I asked to sit inside the classroom and learn? Why can't I sit inside at the courtyard and attend the class? So he wanted that freedom to learn from anywhere and kind of thing. I mean, that was very evident. And even now, Jay, recently, right before admitting him into grade 1 at 21K school, we did take him to the physical schools around, asked him to interact with teachers and students, understand that experience, because I think we are very mindful that we don't want to snatch away a certain experience which the physical school brings in, right? I mean, he looked at it, he understood the travel time that is required, the subjects, the duration that he's going to spend, and he came back choosing that he would want to continue to study at 21K school. I mean, we respected his decision, and I think he's there with us. And I don't know. I mean, next year, if he says that he wants to go back to the physical school, we'll be happy to do that. But at the moment, I think he's quite happy with 21K school.
Hriday sounds like a mini Yash because he's very evaluative. He's asking the right questions at a very young age, I would say.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of this grooming is because of this homeschooling. I think he gets a different level of exposure compared to the physical schools.
Right. So that's incredible. Yeah. So that's actually the key testament, right? That this works. the two founders who have access, Santosh also in Chennai has access to all the schools, all the top level schools, and then also he's chosen to keep his daughter in, in 21K school. So have you, and that's I think the key testament that it works, and it works very well, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, let's come down to a little bit of marketing. The product is of course great. You've set up a communication line, and now the team has grown, so you do have access to people that regular schools don't. But then again, what sort of tools are you using to manage the sheer volume of students and communication, right? Whether it's with new parents, whether it's with existing parents. If you wouldn't mind telling, because I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in that.
Oh, no, we've been very open and transparent with our marketing and, in fact, our platform and technology as well. We want the ecosystem to grow. So for the marketing, Jay, I think we have explored almost every possible channel except for the print media ads and the electronic ads on the television and so on. I think what works really well is the word of mouth, the referral. I still think that the best marketing happens when a good teacher goes and delivers her class well in the classroom. I think that really drives the satisfaction of the parents and consequently the word of mouth. Even today, more than 25% of our admissions comes because of the parents' referrals and the recommendations that goes out. And the remaining, I think, it's purely been digital marketing. We have split the time and the cost in terms of branding as well as the pure admissions-driven campaigns. Google has worked fantastically for us. Facebook does drive a lot of engagement on the social media, and LinkedIn as well. We've also explored offline channels in terms of participating in exhibitions, setting up road shows in different cities, participating in various forums to present about 21K school, advertising in the parents' magazines and the trade journals for the education as well. But nothing really beats a word of mouth campaign. And if I have to rank in the second order, it would be the Google advertising that really search. Parents are still searching for online schooling and homeschooling. I think that's incredible, because initially we thought it's the first 2 years people are actively looking online schooling because of the closure of schools. But even today, I think, it's only been marginally dropped where the search count has actually dropped. But there's a lot of active engagement of the parents looking for these options.
Right. And the competition is heating up, right? More schools, more online schools are popping up. So that's a sign that there's definitely a market for it. But how do you see 21K school positioned? Are you concerned about the challenges that are coming up, the new companies that are coming up every day?
Oh, no, not at all. I think we're quite open-minded. We would want to collaborate with anybody who wants to launch an online school, wants to collaborate with us in terms of the technologies. We don't have any competition with the physical schools as well. I think that's a very different segment that they cater to. We want to spread globally, and I think we are actively looking at models of collaboration to enter into different regions around the world. Currently, we have students from 72 countries with 24 different nationalities already studying with us. And I think as we penetrate further into the Indian region, we would also want to expand globally as well. But I think getting credible players to come and launch the online schools is only going to do well for the entire segment, and we would definitely encourage more people to come in.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so that's great to hear that you're ready to collaborate, because I do believe that there is a need for more online schools, and not just in India, across the world. There are a lot of developing nations that do not have access to quality education, and I think this is the only way to get affordable education to them. So the more players, and it's great to see that 21K is open to collaborating with more people and helping them with the technology aspect, which of course you have now made all the mistakes, found out what works, what doesn't, right, and are there. So any final parting words, Yash, that what do you see the future as for yourself for 21K? And anything else that you would like to tell our listeners?
So one of the things I think, the Indian education system has underestimated itself. I mean, we've always underplayed. When we look at the Indian national boards, the national education policy also speaks about expanding globally. but there is a huge response. I mean, whenever we speak to Indian parents living outside India, they've been asking us about the credible Indian players, and there's a clear need for India's education to be expanded globally. When we have other boards, operating in over 150 countries across the world, why not the Indian boards? I mean, I think it's time that we look at taking pride in what we do as an Indian education system with the national education policy, and then expand globally. I think that's the missing part that I see, because surprisingly, both Indians as well as non-English speaking foreign nationals outside India, they value India's education very high. I think largely because of the success of IIT and IIM, they think that English, maths, and science, subjects and concept level understanding is very high, very focused, and that is something they want to offer to the kids as well. But unfortunately, there are very few Indian schools outside India, and I strongly believe that the Indian school offered online can be a game changer for India's education system, where we can actually become the gurus for the world that we were in the ages of Nalanda and Takshila. I think that's the way that to look at it in terms of growing further.
But yeah, as I was saying that, as you pointed out, Indian students across the world, whenever they go, they are performing well at college level, at university level, and even beyond. So there is no reason why someone wouldn't want to do the Indian board, especially if for STEM education. And there are so many goods. It's just that I think it's a mindset thing where we've started saying only IB, only IGCSE, and CBSE is not as good as them. But there are a lot of great things that the curriculum already has, and we've seen the results. So I totally agree. That's a insight that I actually had never thought about myself. But thank you so much for sharing and joining in today, Yash, and talking to our audiences about this. Wish you all the very best with 21K, and may you get a lot more collaborations and you reach that 100,000 mark probably before 5 years.
Right. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Yeshwath from 21K School. To learn more about the school, log on to 21kschool.com. To follow Yash and connect with him, head over to LinkedIn. He is available as Yeshwath Raj Parasmal. That is YESHWANTHRAJPARASMAL. Of course, to follow us, you can go on to IOSIGNITE.com. We are available on all social media platforms with the same name. And if you have any queries that you want us to address during our sessions, you can send us an email at talk@iosignite.com or leave us a direct message on any of the social platforms. Thank you so much for joining in, and let's connect next week.